Okay, this is Gabe Ets-Hokin with Motorcycle Daily, City Bike Magazine, and motorcycle.com and other websites and whatnot. And I'm here. We're checking out the 2014 Honda VFR 800 Interceptor. This is a motorcycle that I really like. Sorry, there's something wrong with the focus on my camera. There you go. And I'm sorry about the dust in the lens. I really just doing these videos just to take notes for myself so I can write the story, read the story at City Bike Magazine and motorcycledaily.com. But what I wanted to talk about was this motorcycle and what it is and what it is not, why I like it and why I don't like it. So the styling is very nice. It's a little bulbous and angular, but the first thing that strikes you when you sit on this motorcycle is you get on it. It's very narrow and the seat is very low. The motorcycle is very compact, very low to the ground, and very long. It doesn't feel like other Hondas. It feels a lot like maybe like a 1980s or 1970s Italian sport bike. It has that kind of stretched out position. The pegs are high. Other than that, it's pretty standard Honda VFR stuff, right? I mean, if you've ridden VFRs, you know all about it. If you're a VFR geek, you probably know way more about this motorcycle than I do. What stands out is the motor. It's a V4. It's liquid cooled. It's smooth, but it isn't. The basic design is starting to feel its age. It's a little buzzy. It vibrates at the top of the rev range. It feels soft in the middle of the rev range, and then around 8,000-9,000 RPM it kind of wakes up, and it goes pretty good. I guess it's about 100 horsepower at the back wheel. You know, not earth-shattering stuff these days, but I enjoyed it. It'll get you going along fast enough. As far as comfort, because this is a GT bike, you know, you kind of sit in the bike. And the saddle's okay for you know, Serge, the editor at City Bike, did a 700-mile day, probably a 12-hour day on the motorcycle. He says his butt didn't start hurting till late in the afternoon. I've been riding since 9 this morning, and I'm reasonably okay. I thought the stretched out riding position and the relatively low bars would be painful, but it feels all right. That tank looks weird the more I look at it. If I was on acid, I would just sit and stare at that tank because it looks like some kind of sea creature sitting on top of the motorcycle. But it's actually kind of cool. The reason it's cool because that thing holds 5 gallons of gas, and you can go 250 miles on a tank at 70 or maybe even 80 miles per hour. And that's very impressive cruising performance for any motorcycle. So you know, for 40-50 miles per gallon is nothing to sneeze at. So I'm here in Fraser Park, California, and that means I just did about 30 miles of twisty roads from Taft, California, and the bike acquitted itself pretty well. It doesn't feel that heavy. I mean, it's it's around 500 pounds, but it doesn't feel that heavy. It steers reasonably well, even with the clip-ons and the long wheelbase, and the long feeling of the bike. The suspension, you know, doesn't feel that great initially, but it seems to work very well. And you know, it makes pretty good sounds. And you know, this motorcycle, $13,000 motorcycle, gives you a very basic kind of Honda experience. I'm going to entitle the story Motorcycle Honda GT One Each, because it's a very kind of generic and standard Japanese sport tourer GT bike experience. The brakes, I should say something about. I think they're linked. They might be linked. They feel linked. They're radial mount. They're 4-piston calipers. They didn't feel that special. I mean, they're powerful, but you know, they didn't feel grabby. I mean, everything's been very kind of refined and kind of made safe, which is weird when you consider there's no ABS and there's no traction control. So this is a motorcycle for someone who wants a very basic elemental experience, an expert rider maybe, but it's got linked brakes. I don't know if it has linked brakes, but if it has linked brakes and it's kind of dumbed down, yeah, it's just a very typical Honda product. Is this something that I would buy? I think for 13 grand, I would want a more interesting and characteristic bike. But Serge pointed out to me, hey, you know, this could be, you know, this is you know, you put good suspension on this bike, and it'll do everything you need it to. I'm sure with an open exhaust, it'll sound fabulous. So look, if you're a VFR guy, you know, you don't have to tell me. I don't even know why you watch this video. You already know you need this bike. I think it's a nice way that they made the, that they simplified it, made it lighter, more inviting for than compared to the previous generation Interceptor, which was a big shaft-driven monster with dual clutch. This is a motorcyclist's motorcycle. It's very elemental and kind of charming and pleasant in that way. So I'm going to end my video with starting the bike up so you can hear that V4 sound. Ets-Hokin with Motorcycle Daily, City Bike Magazine, motorcycle.com, and Motorcycle USA telling you I ride motorcycles so you don't have to. Have a great day.